This is a special presentation of 4-Star Sports Media. Welcome to the 4-Star Sports Media College Football Pick'em Show. Now, live from the BA Mask Studios, here's your host, from the Point, Wes Pruitt.
Hello, football fans, and welcome to week one of college football. We've got college football teams kicking off all over the nation right now, from Pitt, West Virginia, in a backyard brawl, which I love to see finally taking place again. Christian, you've got Ouachita Baptist for a little bit of Arkansas flavor taking on Oklahoma Baptist right now. You've got UCA taking on Missouri State, a team that Arkansas fans will come to see here shortly in the season. Nathan, you've got 5 days of football, man, all cranking up today. What are you guys looking forward to the most about, football in general? Christian, I'll start with you.
Well, you kind of nailed it. Just seeing some good competition, there's a lot of good games, as there all usually is in the first week. We'll get into it later. There's teams where you're like, their potential this year, and you're just kind of ready to see it kind of unfold on the field,
Yeah, most definitely. Nathan, what about you, man?
I mean, there's teams out there that's got a lot to prove coming off last year. A lot of teams had a lot of injuries and suffered some big injuries that cost a lot of bowl games for them. So this year they're coming in a lot healthier, and a lot of these guys, came back for another year instead of going straight into the draft. So they got something to prove this year.
Yeah, that's a really good point. There's a lot of teams that had injuries in 2021. Now coming into 2022, what have these teams done to improve on not only the conditioning or team, wellness programs and things like that, but also what have the players done? What have the individuals done to improve their body to make sure they don't become injured again this season? We had week 0 games last week. I enjoyed it. I know you guys did as well. We had some what I would call preseason games. Florida State Duquesne, for an example, and we saw some others around the country. Guys, the first question of the night as we get cranked up, we thank everybody watching and listening on the 4-Star Sports Radio Network, also on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, iHeartRadio. We're on any podcast you can pull up on your phone. Also, Bear Down Services, one of the sponsors of 4-Star Sports Media, is running a special promotion right now, 15% off. Get with those guys over at Bear Down Services, LLC. Reach out to them on Facebook. Shoot them a message. Tell them 4-Star sent you over, and you'll get 15% off what you need done. Those guys do an amazing job over there at Bear Down Services. Nathan, I got a question for you, man. What is your hottest take from week 0?
I think the hottest take from week 0 is, I'm going to go ahead and say it, is old Dandy Vandy getting a win to start their season off, being 1-0. I know that's got to be big for them. But not just that, but I want to take a hot take on this quarterback they got. He is a outstanding player. And y'all know I'm talking about Wright.
Mike Wright, yes, sir.
Yeah, Mike Wright. Look, this guy was unbelievable in that game. All right, he had over 100 yards rushing, over 100 yards passing. He had, I think, and I want somebody to correct me on this, but I think it was 2 touchdowns on the ground and I think two or something in the air, something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
two on the ground,
he had
two,
an incredible
two in the
game.
air. Yeah, so I mean that's an outstanding game for him, and I got to give this man a lot of credit. He is a speedster at quarterback. So yeah, that's my hot take. Vanderbilt starting the year off 1-0. They're going to probably end up being 2-0 because the next game they got is another cupcake. So we're going to see Vanderbilt start 2-0 when when they start facing somebody. So that's going to be big over there for Vanderbilt.
You know, I tell you what, man, Clark Lee, their head coach, Vanderbilt alum as well. But Clark Lee made some waves at the SEC Media Days in Atlanta where he said he wants Vanderbilt to be the best team in the country. I like the confidence in that. I mean, I really, really do. I like the fact that Clark Lee wants his team to believe that they're the best team in the country because that's what Vanderbilt needs. Vanderbilt needed that game against Hawaii.
Yeah.
My question is this, Christian: is Vanderbilt that much improved, or is Hawaii really that bad under the legend Timmy Chang?
I think it's a little bit of both. You know, Hawaii, obviously, if you watch that game, you could just tell by watching it that they're not very good. Also, you can tell by watching that Vandy has improved. I mean, you don't score 63 points if you're not doing something right, and you only allowed 10 points to a Hawaii team that usually can score. So, I think, there's always going to be some overreactions after week zero. After week zero, Vandy had, as did Hawaii, Vandy had so many months to prepare for this, and they came out ready. It's a game they should have won. I didn't expect it to be that lopsided, but, Vandy obviously is not the Vandy of even last year, where they may have even lost a game like this, or at least barely won. So, I'm going to have to see more out of Vandy. Obviously, their first 4 games are winnable. I mean, they can start out 4-0 theoretically, but I think their first true test will be against Wake Forest in a couple of weeks, and we'll just kind of see where they go from there. But no, I mean, I'll have to see more out of Vandy to kind of gauge just how good they are.
Yeah. Zach Kerr out at the UCA game. Zach, speaking of Vandy, how much fear do you have in Anchor Down? Because they're the leader in the SEC right now, just so you know. No comment from Zach. Razorback Zach out at the UCA football game.
Probably some connection issues there.
Yeah, I think we are having some
You guys got me?
issues.
Yeah, we got you, Zach.
All right. What's going on, fellas?
Not
What's
much,
going
man.
on, Zach?
So, Zach got a question about Dandy Vandy. So, they're first place in the SEC right now, by the way. How does that make you feel?
Show's pass is incomplete.
I don't know if I'm living in a dream world or not with Vandy being number 1 in the SEC right now, but it's going to be short-lived, I can tell you that, because week 1's got some great games, especially in the SEC. You've got a top 25 matchup with Arkansas and Cincinnati.
Charles on the coverage.
And,
second down and 10.
I mean, you've got Tennessee playing tonight. Who else we got playing tonight? Is that the only SEC game is Tennessee?
Tennessee's playing tonight against Ball State. It's not even
Ball
a game
State.
right now.
Yeah,
it's like
I mean,
24-0 right now.
Yeah, that's once again, that's another
Jason Jones'
preseason
pass is
game.
complete to Jordan Jones.
Another preseason
But, I
game.
mean-
Zach, while you're at the game, man, give us a quick little score update and crowd level
T.D.
enthusiasm.
Williams and Tamarian Wilson.
Score
on
of that game.
I mean,
It's third down.
the weather right now is currently third down, 3rd and 1 to go. Missouri State has it, and they just sacked this guy back. It went from 3rd and 1 to about 4th and 6.
Very
for
nice.
Missouri State right now.
Very nice.
The Bears makes the stop. It is 4th down.
11 minutes to go here in the first quarter, and they've kind of gone back and forth. The crowd's pretty decent here tonight.
Is it? Good.
Very nice weather here in very nice weather. I mean, this is perfect football weather out here in Conway, y'all. and out here on the stripes, as they say here at UCA. But UCA's just got the ball at the 18. So with 10:37 to go, it's 1st and 10, UCA. And man, you couldn't ask for a more perfect night, opening night for football in the Natural State. And in less than 48 hours, the big boys take over, and Arkansas plays Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's going to be a good game, man. And we're gonna get more into that here in a little bit. But man, Zach, I tell you what, man, we appreciate you stepping on with us here for just a minute while you're at the game. We know you are trying to enjoy it as a fan tonight. But Zach, shoot your game picks in. We will announce them on air. There he is in all his purple glory. But looking like Barney at the game. But anyway, but yeah, Zach, man, we appreciate you taking a short period of time out tonight with us, man. As always, we appreciate all you do, buddy. But Christian, Nathan, last week we saw a game take place over in Ireland between Dublin, Ireland, Northwestern, and Nebraska.
Yep.
Nebraska last year lost 9 games, 8 of those games coming by 1 score.
Yeah.
Well, guys, they messed around and did it over at Daggum, Ireland as well. Scott Frost decided to kick an onside kick after Mark Whipple was just moving the ball down the field. I mean, they were up what? What was the score at that point? Can either one of y'all tell?
At that point, I think it was
28-17.
Yeah, 28 is something like that. 28-17. And then
so you've got a 2-score lead, right? You've got a 2-score lead in the football game. You could pin them back in their own zone, but no, Scott Frost kicks an onside kick.
Yeah.
And when I tell you that it's something that came back to kick them in the butt, it literally did. Christian, let me ask you this. How hot is Scott Frost's seat right now?
Well, if you listen to Nebraska fans, if you listen to most of the people in the media, it's very hot. And I think there's reason to be because if you look at this Nebraska team, they got a good transfer quarterback in Casey Thompson from Texas, who's a good quarterback, and he even played well in that game. But it's concerning because of the time they had to prepare for it and the fact that they blew out Northwestern by 40-something points last year. So it's like, it's definitely concerning. I don't even think Northwestern's a good football team. So
it's an even year, though. So if you go back and look at Northwestern, it's like on even years, they go like 10-2. But then every other year, they go like 3-9. It's an even year. So this would be the year when Pat Fitzgerald, guys, can you believe he's been there 17 seasons already?
That's ridiculous.
Like it doesn't even feel that long. But Christian, Northwestern could mess around and go 9-10 wins this year.
I mean, they could, but when I watched that game, I just didn't get the feeling that, wow, Northwestern is just so good. It's more of like, wow, Nebraska has, they still haven't taken the next step. And, at the end of the day, it is one game. It's a game that, Nebraska fans probably expected them to win, but they didn't. And you would like to see them start winning the close games. I mean, that's a, tell of a good team when you can win those type of games. And I just don't think – I think something's missing there in Nebraska. I think the talent is there, but it's just not clicking for them. And I don't know why. It could be because of the coach.
Yeah.
I think this season he's going to have to really step it up.
Nathan, what is the issue with Scott Frost? I mean, we've seen it. We saw him at Central Florida. He had an undefeated season. I also gave him a lot of props because he stuck around and coached that last game with Central Florida, even though he was already at Nebraska. It showed his, team spirit. But man, since he's got to Nebraska, he's 5-21 in one-score games, and that's not good, Nathan.
No, it's not. And I'm going to piss a lot of people off by saying this.
Here we go.
Is he came from the American League Conference.
American Athletic, yep.
Yep. And jumped into what's Nebraska now? The Big Ten? Or is it the Big Ten?
Yep.
Jumped into the Big Ten. I mean,
There was another coach who did that and sucked.
yeah, so when things like that happen, you're not in the same ballpark. You know, you got a lot more Power 5 teams you'd be facing off against. Now, I will give Scott Frost some credit. He's got some time to get this Nebraska team focused, because you got to understand, after that Northwestern game, they got a cupcake in North Dakota. They got another cupcake game in Georgia Southern. There's 2 good games for them to figure out and fix all the mistakes they made in the Northwestern game right before they played number 9 Oklahoma. And now, I believe when they face Oklahoma, it will be in Nebraska. So that gives them a little bit of home field advantage as well. And Oklahoma will not have Lincoln Riley as a head coach. Now, they will still have my mind's going blank on me.
Talking about Libby? Talking about Jeff Libby?
Jeff Libby will be taking over. Now, that is a
no. You got Venerables as the head coach, but then they brought in Jeff Libby.
For the offense. But what I'm saying, though, is this Oklahoma team is still in a rebuilding stage, too, because when Lincoln Riley left, he took a lot of players with him.
He did.
So now they do have a quarterback in Gabriel Dillon, which is a beast of a quarterback. Yeah. So that's going to be one heck of a quarterback coming in to help out Oklahoma. But right now, this is going to give them Nebraska a chance and Scott Frost a chance to focus on everything all the mistakes they made against Northwestern, put it towards North Dakota, and Georgia Southern. And once they do that, we're going to find out how hard of that seat that is when he faces off against Oklahoma.
I think this year what you're going to see out of Nebraska is they're not going to get blown out by teams, but I think you'll see you'll still see some close losses. And, you know, that's not going to cut it at Nebraska. So, you know, this might be Frost's last year. It really might be.
Well, I mean, I can tell you this. If Scott Frost loses one of the next 2 games, he's done.
Yeah.
If you lose to North Dakota, not North Dakota State now. This isn't a really good North Dakota State Jackrabbit team. This is just North Dakota. Okay? Don't a lot of people confuse those 2 teams. But then Georgia Southern, if you lose to one of those 2 teams, it does it like he's done. He's got to be. He's got to be. But
they won't. They'll lose.
I agree with Christian. I feel like this team is just this far away. They just got to get a little bit of confidence and get a couple of wins, and I think it's going to help them in the long run, because there's talent on the field. We just saw it.
Yeah,
we just saw it. Christian, give me your overreaction of week 1. Biggest overreaction.
We covered a couple of them, so you know, I won't mention those games since we've already covered those. You know, if you look at Florida State, yes, they played a nobody team in Duquesne. A lot of people probably haven't even heard of them, to be honest. But it was a game where it kind of had my interest, because it's like, okay, is Florida State going to come out and do what they should do and handle this team, or are they going to kind of, you know, mess around and, you know, squeak one out or just not look very good? And for the most part, they looked very dominant in that game. It was good to see, you know, Norvell come out and take care of business, but I guarantee you they've already put it past them, and they've got a much tougher test this weekend in a very interesting game with LSU.
Oh yes, and we will get into that here just shortly.
But Florida State looks good from what I saw so far.
They do. I've got a few things to say about Florida State when we get to that game. Nathan, what is yours, man?
All right, so my big thing and the big takeaway from the game from week 0, I mean, really, I have to agree with y'all about the Florida State. Florida State coming in off of a horrible year last year, not too great. But coming in, I mean, yeah, they played a cupcake team, but you always need that cupcake team to kind of figure out what your where your strength and weaknesses are. So, and plus coming at, they're going to be facing off against LSU. Now, somebody correct me on this: is it going to be LSU at home or LSU away?
I think it's
kind of a home game because they're playing in New Orleans. Which is
Okay, so
a stone's throw away from Baton Rouge.
Okay, so look, Florida State. I don't want to down Mike Norvell because he's one heck of a football coach, but I will say this, and I'll give my pick later on that game. But he's got some work to do. I mean, still got some work to do. You got to focus on some mental mistakes, and you've got to make sure that you got your offense running.
LSU's got a lot of question marks as well, so that could be a good game. But I would, if I had to pick it out, I would. Well, we'll get into that.
Yeah, we will. We are getting ready to take a quick break. When we come back from break, though, guys, we're going to get into the football games. One of them's already taking place right now, and it's an old school backyard fight. So we will jump into all that here right. Go ahead.
I just want to say this real quick.
You're good.
All right.
You're good.
UCF. Anybody that is watching the UCF game right now, y'all know that the quarterback for UCF is Plumlee, who is also a former Ole Miss quarterback who transferred over to UCF. And let me tell you something. He's gonna be dangerous with this UCF offense. I'm telling you right now.
Very dangerous. Very dangerous. That's a really good point. But yeah, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna get into our games. A little 6-pack challenge, I guess is what you would call it. We're gonna pick 6 games. Plus, we're gonna get into our Heritage Fence Awards and Heritage Fence Game of the Week right here on the 4 Star Sports Radio Network.
Hey fans, did you know that 4 Star Sports Media now has a YouTube channel? You can catch exclusive content covering all things Memphis Tigers and the Arkansas Razorbacks. Shows like The Point, and the only show on social media about the Arkansas Razorbacks that is purely fan-driven inside the Hog Pen. Plus other shows like The Hog Trough, The 4 Star Sports Show, and many more coming soon. So check them out today. Go on YouTube.com and search 4 Star Sports Media. Welcome back, fellas. It's time to get into some games. We've got one taking place right now between 2 bitter rivals and 2 teams that I would love to see back in the same conference again, just so we can see this game year in, year out, not only in football, but in other sports as well. And of course, Christian, I'll start with you. I'm referring to the old backyard brawl between Pitt and West Virginia. This is one of my
when it comes to rivalries around the country. This is one of my favorites every season. I have missed it, very similar to Texas A&M. But Christian, who you got? The game's going on right now, but who you got, man?
And that's
West Virginia or Pitt?
It's definitely living up to the name right now. Not a lot of points scored. Defense showing out for both teams. If pretending like this game was 0-0, I would probably give the edge to Pitt, just because you look at West Virginia. If you watched them last year, nothing gave you the impression that they would come out this year and just light it up. But Pitt did lose their quarterback in Pickett, and they lost a really good receiver. But right now, their defense is obviously keeping them in it. They're winning, or actually now they're losing 10-7. But the Slovis kid for Pitt, from USC, he looks like he's going to fit in well there. And I expect this to continue to be a low scoring game, but I think Pitt pulls it out.
Yeah, Nathan, man, this game has got a lot of history. This is the 105th all-time meeting and first time in 11 years that these two teams will play. But the good thing is for fans of Pitt and West Virginia is these two teams, will play in 8 of the next 11 seasons. Nathan, on the Pitt side of things, Mark Whipple is gone. He is now at Nebraska. In comes Frank Cignetti, is the new offensive coordinator at Pitt. And lo and behold, Nathan, his dad coached at West Virginia from 76 to 79.
Yeah.
Just history all over the place.
But it's not just history in coaching, it's history in players too. I wish I would have caught the name of the player, but there was one player on here. I believe he's played for Pitt or West Virginia, but his grandfather played here, his uncle played here, so this is big. But also I want to say this, y'all also forgetting this is the freaking first time we get to see JT Daniels, the transfer from Georgia, come out and actually get his shot with West Virginia. And let me tell you something, he's phenomenal, guys. I've watched this game from the kickoff. He's an amazing quarterback. He's got one hell of a gun on him. I'm glad he's not at Georgia no more, but he can go to West Virginia and do that stuff. But this crowd, this rivalry, anybody that's watching this game, you can see, first off, college football's back, baby. Secondly, the rivalry between the backyard brawl, it's showing, guys. This is a heated rival in this game. The fan base is crazy there, but also watching this game, you got 2 transfers at quarterback. You got JT Daniels from Georgia. You got I want to say Savos.
Caden Slovis from USC.
Yes, from USC. So this is big, guys. And also you got to remember, Pitt did lose their star wide receiver, and I think he ended up going to USC.
Jordan Addison. Yeah, he's a stud, man. He can play.
He is a stud. So this gives both programs a chance, but also you got to look at Pitt being ranked against West Virginia. Now, this is going to show what West Virginia's made out of, especially with having JT Daniels as quarterback. And let me just go ahead and say it. My pick is West Virginia. I was going to go with JT Daniels. I mean, I've seen this guy play a little bit. I actually watched him play a little bit at Georgia when he got the chance before he got injured. But I'm glad to see him out here with West Virginia. And if anybody has paid attention to our to the Facebook page for 4-Star, we posted I believe we posted a picture of the unis that West Virginia is rocking right now, and these are some, dude, I love it.
Yeah, those West Virginia road uniforms are nice. It's actually a map of the state. It's beautiful, man, and it's absolutely beautiful. Man, who'd you take in this one, Christian?
Pitt.
I agree, man. I think I am going to have to take Pitt. 2021, Pitt had 11 wins, guys. It's the most in school I'm sorry, it's the most since 1981. But
Wait, we're talking about last year.
yeah, Pitt
But
in
last year
2000.
they had
I know,
Kenny Money Pickett.
They had Kenny Double Gloves Pickett. I know.
No. It's Kenny
Um,
Money Pickett. It's Kenny Money Pickett.
But I agree. I'm gonna have to take Pitt as well. I'm gonna take Pitt in this game, and I'll take Pitt by 10 in this one.
Y'all killing
10
me with that.
points. 10 points. What? What do you mean?
West Virginia by a touchdown, dude.
What?
Yeah, you gonna watch West Virginia's a second half team, brother. It's gonna happen.
Okay. All right. Who knows?
I think the
Not us.
home field advantage may help Pitt in this one.
Yeah, not us. All right, man. So generally we do these games at the end, but this season I do want to do them in chronological order as the day's going to go. So we're going to get to a game now that I know Christian's excited about for sure. I will be there Saturday. It's going to be a lot of fun. Cincinnati comes to Fayetteville to take on the Arkansas Razorbacks. First matchup since 1970 or 1981, I believe, for Arkansas, where both teams are actually ranked coming into the season. But Nathan, I'm going to start with you because I know Christian's got a lot to say on this one, I'm sure. So Nathan, I'm going to start with you, man. Cincinnati, we all know the season that they had last year. As an American fan that covers the American, we know what Cincinnati is. We know who they are. We know how good Luke Fickell is. Yeah. Anyone that tells me Luke Fickell's not a football coach, you're lying. Go look at their history. Go look at the last 5 seasons that he's been there. Besides the first year, the man's like 44-7. So, like, talk to me about not a good football coach, please. I'll give you stats. I'll give you stats that'll shut it up.
I won't say he's a bad football coach. He is a hell of a football coach, especially on the way how he's got these guys playing. But I'm going to say he is a motivator. He is. But I'm going to have to say, look, dude, Cincinnati lost 2 awesome defensive backs last year to the draft. They're coming in without their quarterback, Desmond Ridder. I mean, they've lost a lot of big players on that defense and offensive side. With that said, Arkansas, they come in, and they did lose Burks to the NFL draft, in which I also wish him the best of luck with the Titans. He's going to be one hell of a player for them. But you cannot stop Sam Pittman in this Arkansas team right now. He's got these guys playing on a whole different level, and I wish Zach was here to hear me say this stuff because he'd be freaking.
He'll watch it, trust me.
He will watch it, and I'll regret this on the next show next week. But I'm gonna say, Arkansas, dude, you've got one heck of a defense. Linebackers on Arkansas is stupid. What is it? Is it Bumperpool?
You got Bumper Pool. You got Bumper Pool. You got Drew Sanders. I mean,
I see, and Drew Sanders was a former Alabama player. He transferred. And let me tell you something. Y'all picked up Drew Sanders from Alabama, and he is one heck of a stud when it comes to that linebacker position.
Oh yeah,
he's going to help out. And Bumper Pool was named honorary captain, I believe, along with KJ Jefferson and I forgot who else, the 2 other players. But
I think it was Catlon was one, but yeah.
Yeah. But KJ Jefferson's coming into this game also. He's got a hell of a lot to prove from last year. Some games didn't go his way, and I'm sorry guys, I gotta say this, but the Ole Miss game didn't go his way, even though he played in front of his family and friends. And as everyone knows, he's right down the road. He grew up right down the road, not too far out there in Mississippi. But also, you got to look at this. Sam Pittman is one heck of a coach. He proved it last year, and he's got one hell of a squad this year. So y'all, and I mentioned that I'm going to name my dark horses that could give Alabama a game. Arkansas is one, and I wish Zach was here to hear me say it. Arkansas is a team that Alabama's got to be a little bit on edge about. Yeah. But it's one heck of a program over there, and I like what Sam Pittman's doing. So go Hogs, pick Suey.
Okay, all right, Nathan. I'm going to take Arkansas in this game. I just think that Arkansas is the better team. And that's nothing against Cincinnati, but you lose quarterback, running back, two stud defensive players, as we've talked about. Now you bring guys in too. Don't get me wrong. You brought in a running back from LSU and a quarterback that was there before, Ben Bryant. I mean, the question is going to be who's going to run out on the field as a starting quarterback Saturday for Cincinnati, because it hasn't been now. That's going to be key. You've got two guys, one guy, Ben Bryant, the other guy, Evan Prater. Both guys can play. Both guys can throw the football. Ben Bryant had a great season last year for Eastern Michigan. I'm going to take Arkansas Christian, and I'm taking them because of how good Arkansas's defense is going to be. It's not a question of could be, can be. That defense is going to be really, really good under Barry Odom this year. Who you got, man?
What?
Arkansas.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Before Christian gets into it, because I know he's got a lot to say, but I'm going to say this real quick. If you play in Arkansas at home, you're going against that whole fan base. Now, I'm not sure how big of a capacity stadium it is over there in Fayetteville. I know it's stupid, especially when you go to the College World Series and play baseball over there at Arkansas. But I can only imagine what it's going to be like, first game of the season and going up against Cincinnati. But I will also say this. The spread says Arkansas by 6. It's not going to be. Arkansas, I'm going to give Arkansas 17 in this.
Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium was built in 1938, natural grass, and it holds 76,000 people.
That place is going to be rocking, dude. 76,000, I think, plus. They're going to be outside the damn stadium.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Christian.
So I'll say this about Cincinnati first and foremost. I've got so much respect for them. After last year, you don't get to the college football playoff if you don't have a good coach, for one. If you don't have a good program, for one. So as an Arkansas fan, I have felt much better about a week 1 opponent than I do this year. I have no thoughts of, oh my gosh, Arkansas is going to run away with this game, because that's just not realistic, because Cincinnati's a really good football team. The fact that they haven't named a starting quarterback is a little concerning from a Cincinnati fan point, but it also might play into their favor a little bit. Who knows? With Arkansas, there's a lot. I wouldn't say questions, but week 1, you're focused all off season, because that week 1 opponent is going to be a really good team, and focus is not going to be an issue for Arkansas. It won't be an issue for Cincinnati either, because this is a game that they have to have if they even want to sniff another college football playoff. So a lot riding for both teams. Arkansas, I think, has the advantage because it's at home. The loss of Treylon Burks obviously is probably going to affect the offense somewhat, but I think Arkansas did a nice job in the offseason of kind of making up for his absence with some transfers. I know Hazelwood is one, and the guy from
Toledo.
Toledo.
Yeah,
the guy from Toledo.
he can play. He's a speedster.
I know his name. It just slipped.
Joseph Skates.
No, it's. I can't think of his name all the time.
The guy from Toledo.
It's not Skates.
You sure?
I want to get his name right because I think he's going to have a great season this year.
Why are you looking up that?
Sorry. Matt Landers. My bad.
Yeah, Matt Landers. He's a tall receiver. He's got speed. I think Arkansas is going to be able to use them well this year. The running game is what I think is going to win the game ultimately for Arkansas. You got 4 or 5 running backs that I think had over 500 yards last year and was the number 1 rushing attack in the country. I know Dominique Johnson, I think, is a running back that is kind of banged up right now, and he's not expected to play, but I think he might, it's possible he could get a few carries. But Arkansas is going to have to establish a running game. And if they can do that, I mean, it's hard to beat Arkansas when they can run the football. It's hard to beat anybody, obviously, when they can run the football. So at the end of the day, I think, the fans are going to be in it. Cincinnati, they're going to be a little taken back probably by the environment, I would say, just because they're not typically in that type of environment.
Right.
I mean, obviously, the college football playoff is a big stage, but it's not dominated by one team's home crowd.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I give Arkansas the edge. I predicted 21-20 in my article. I'm going to stick with that. I think Arkansas could win by more than that, but until I see anything on the field this year with the new offense, I'm going to give Arkansas a touchdown advantage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Touchdown advantage. All right. Up next week, guys, we've got a very interesting matchup between the defending national champion Georgia Bulldogs and the Oregon Ducks, led by their former defensive coordinator of Georgia last year, Dan Lanning. I know this about this football game. It is going to be very fun to watch the physicality of these two teams go against each other. I don't know how Oregon is going to be able to – they've got to slow down the Georgia running attack, which is going to be very hard to do. But I also want to see this. I want to see how well these two offensive lines can protect their quarterback. We know who the quarterback is for Georgia, Nathan. It's Stetson Bennett. Flip phone G, Stetson Bennett.
He's gotten kind of ripped this year, hasn't he?
He has. Well, I mean, dude, when you flip a flip phone, I mean, imagine how much his phone was going on. Dude, he's got to have muscles like out of this world. And then you got Oregon. Not sure who the quarterback's going to be out there for Dan yet. That's going to be a reoccurring theme all night. Not sure who the quarterback is. But, Nathan, who you got in this one, man? Oregon or Georgia?
Let me tell you what's going to happen. I'm going to go ahead and say it now because I'm excited about this game. Yeah, you got the defending national championships, Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs, and I'll give them that. But you got to remember, this game, you got to remember who Georgia got as a transfer quarterback. They got Bo freaking Nix. Now, I'm hearing that Bo Nix
you mean Oregon? You mean Oregon?
Yeah, Oregon. Sorry.
Yeah.
Right, I forgot he's at Oregon. Yeah.
Oregon is probably going to be starting Bo Nix. Bo Nix is probably going to be the starting quarterback in this game.
Georgia owns Bo Nix.
Dude, I'm telling you right.
Oh no, we just lost.
I'm telling you right now, Bo Nix in Oregon is going to upset Georgia. I'm calling it.
Wow.
Oregon upsets.
That's going to
Georgia.
be what? This is the 42-minute mark and 58 seconds. Cool, because I'm about to write this down. I'm about to go make this a graphic. Go ahead.
Look, and here's the thing. Here's why I say it. Georgia has lost a lot of defensive players, a lot of offensive players due to the draft, correct?
Very true.
Now, Oregon still has y'all got to remember Oregon's defense is their DBs are crazy and they're speedsters. There's speed all over Oregon. I don't care what you say. There's speed all over Oregon.
Yeah.
If Stetson Bennett gets we've seen it, guys. I know he won the game and all this, but it's been proven. You put pressure on Stetson Bennett, he will make mistakes.
Yeah.
All it's got to take is him throwing an interception. And these Oregon DBs are gone, buddy.
Yeah.
They are fast.
Yeah.
Don't ever overlook Oregon. It don't matter if they're in the Pac-12 or not. Don't overlook them. Don't come in that game thinking that, it's just Oregon. No, Oregon is built on speed. Everybody knows that. Oregon has always had speedsters and the wide receivers and the DBs, the running backs, everything. Now you're adding
too, for that matter.
Yeah, and now you're adding Bo Nix as a quarterback, and Bo Nix is one heck of a quarterback. We've seen it at Auburn. He can do things. Now I'm gonna say it, and I'll say it again. Oregon beats Georgia, and it's in a close one.
Okay. All right, Christian. I'll tell you what. Hold on. I'm going to go ahead and give my pick. I don't think Oregon wins this football game, but I will say this. I think Oregon gives Georgia a fight that later in the season, you're going to see teams in the SEC use similar tactics and beat Georgia. But go ahead. Go ahead, Christian.
Yeah. When I look at this game, I take into account, Georgia obviously lost quite a bit from last year, but will there be any type of somewhat of a hangover after winning the national championship? Because we haven't seen Georgia, how they respond after that. It's usually Alabama winning titles, so that's going to be interesting to see how the defense performs. Oregon, I think, obviously they have speed, but I think they can match up pretty well with Georgia, even physically, even in the trenches. So my biggest question mark is the quarterback play. When you look at Bo Nix and Stetson Bennett, they're similar, but they're both different. Bo Nix can do a lot with his legs. I mean, Bennett can obviously run when he needs to, but Bo Nix can, make a lot of plays happen with his legs. And I think he'll have to do that again against Georgia, as if the past is, an indicator. He's had to typically, get out of the pocket a lot against Georgia. So I know Georgia's going to try to get pressure on him. It will be interesting seeing him at Oregon. I will say that. Stetson Bennett obviously can't turn the ball over. If he does that, then it might be a long night for Georgia. But I think Georgia's going to run the football. And I think that's where they have the biggest advantage over Oregon is the running back play. If you think about Oregon, they're not known for, necessarily a great running back. At least they haven't been in years since like LaMichael James. But I'm going to give Georgia the edge in this one. I say Georgia wins by 7 or 10 points.
Okay.
But it'll be interesting to watch for sure.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of the most physical games of week one. Another game that will take place at 6:30 on ESPNU will be the Memphis Tigers and the Mississippi State Bulldogs in what I think could turn out to be a really good football game. We saw an absolute thriller last year in Memphis. Now the Tigers take a trip down to Starkville, first time since 2010. It's also the first time the Tigers will open the season on the road since 2010. In that game, didn't turn out very well, 49-7 loss. I don't think the Tigers lose that bad. I do think Memphis loses this game. I think it's just going to be first game kind of jitters for this team. I know they're going to be hyped for the game. I know they're going to be up for Mississippi State. We always get excited for an SEC opponent. Not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I think that environment for Seth may be a tad too much right now.
Yeah.
Next year, 2 years down the road, if we go back and play them, or when we go back and play them, probably not. Right now, I think it's probably just going to be a little bit too big for them. I think the Tigers lose to Mississippi State by 10. And like I said on the point Tuesday night, I think that 10 points comes with a Memphis score late in the game to make it 10. I think we'll be down almost 17 at that point in time. But Christian, hey, if we being Memphis wins, I'll definitely eat that crow sandwich, of course. Who you got in that one, man?
Yeah, I think a lot obviously will have to go right for Memphis on the road. In an environment like that, the cowbells, I think they're annoying, but there's no denying that
it's a factor.
It does factor in. I can't imagine as a player trying to hear the play and all that, but I think the home field in this, I'll call it a rivalry. This little rivalry.
Oh, most definitely. Well, I mean, okay, so it is and it's not. Memphis has only won 4 times in Starkville.
Well, when
4
I say
times.
I guess in my brain as of late, it's been.
Oh, yeah.
I could be confusing that a little bit with Ole Miss too. I think that Memphis usually gets up for the Mississippi schools.
Always.
But with that being said, I'm sure Mississippi State's gonna take into account last year and how that went. A lot of things went right for Memphis to win last year, but when you watch the game, Memphis was, up for that challenge. They were physical with them. They, they just beat Mississippi State last year. Seth Hennigan, obviously, in his second year. I think the guy's got a lot of talent. I think he's going to throw for He's going to throw for some yards on Mississippi State. I actually think so. I just don't. The offense for Mississippi State. The way what's it called? The air raid.
Air raid, yeah.
Memphis.
I mean, here's the thing: Memphis is going to have to. They're going to have to create extra possessions, and that's hard to do.
Yeah, they're definitely going to have to do exactly what they did last year. I mean, they're going to have to force turnovers, maybe get a score on defense.
Which happened last year. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's going to happen again this year, I think, for them to go on the road in a hostile environment and get the win. But I'll never count Memphis out in this game just because of like what you mentioned, they're going to be up for it. I mean, Mississippi State, they're still Mississippi State. I mean, yes, they're an SEC school, but they can slip up in this game to a good Memphis team. So I don't think you can take too much away from it if you're Memphis. If you don't win, I think if you do get the win, obviously, then the sky's the limit for them this year. So it'll be interesting. I'm definitely going to be watching it, but I'll go with the Bulldogs.
All right. Now, Nathan, let me ask you this, man. Speaking of hot seats around the country, if Mike Leach loses to his second year in a row to the Memphis Tigers, does that seat start heating up a little bit? Does that microwave turn on down in Starkville?
Muted.
You're muted, buddy.
I don't think so. I think it might get a little warm, but it's not going to get hot.
Okay.
Mike Leach is a damn good coach in what he does in the air raid. And I mean, we've seen what he's done in programs in the past, and Mississippi State's just one of them programs that it's just going to take a minute. Now, my intake on this game, I said it on the point. I called my shot. I'm going to call it again. Memphis beats Mississippi State by 3. Now, this game is a big game. It's a payback game, is what Mississippi State fans are saying. It's payback for what happened last year. But I still feel like Mississippi State's still got a lot of things to accomplish, and Memphis is coming in. Ryan Silverfield, he's got these guys playing. They played Mississippi State last year. They're seeing the same as what they went up against last year with Mississippi State. I'm going to go with Memphis on this, and I'm going to choose Memphis by 3, like I said before. But I'm going to say this. I'm not saying Mississippi State fans, if y'all listening, I'm not saying that State is not a good program. It is a good program, but every time State comes out first game, it's a struggle. Yeah, I think this is going to be a struggle for them right here.
Well, I'll tell you one
Very
thing.
will be.
I'll tell you one thing. They're not going to be overlooking them this year because of how last year unfolded.
Well, and I mean, John Skirvin actually brings up a good point. Thank you everybody for watching and listening tonight. John brings up a good point. He said, now if Mississippi State loses to Memphis, then turns around and loses to Arizona next week, that hot seat does get hot. Sure.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Just because you lose to Memphis doesn't mean you're going to have a losing season. No, you're going to have a good season.
Right.
But it's just Memphis is going to come in knowing that they beat y'all in Memphis, and they're going to try to beat you in Starkville. Because that beating State in Memphis, I mean, yeah, it was big, but beating Mississippi State in Starkville and Starkville would be huge.
Well, I mean, you last year you break a 12-game winning streak by Mississippi State. If you can turn around and break that 1993 streak in 2023, I don't know how many. I'm not trying to be mean, but I don't know how many times Mississippi State's going to keep scheduling Memphis if we continue to win and against them.
Right.
There's just no point for them. But all right, guys. Up next, we've got. It's a neutral site game in New Orleans, but it will take place on September 4th, which is Sunday at 6:30 p.m. I believe it is on ABC. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. Anyone watching or listening. But LSU and Florida State will take on each other. These two coaches know each other very well because they prepared for each other last season when Brian Kelly was in South Bend at Notre Dame. Last season's game was a shootout, Christian, between Florida State and Notre Dame. Now you bring Brian Kelly and his family down to Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
And do you think Mike Norvell can get over the Kelly hump per se?
I think this is a very big game for Florida State because much like Nebraska, I kind of lump Florida State and Nebraska in the same category as far as like their fan bases are concerned. Florida State is waiting for the success to translate on the field, and if you can win against LSU in New Orleans, I mean, anytime you can beat LSU, you're doing something right. Obviously, LSU had a bad year last year by their standards, but
yeah,
from a Florida State standpoint, this is a huge opportunity. I think they'll be up for the challenge. I actually think this will be a really close game, but until I see Florida State actually do it, beat a team that's, beat a quality opponent, it's going to be hard for me to pick them. But on the other hand, I'm not totally confident in LSU because, obviously they got a new coach, a really good new coach, but
damn good coach.
But he hasn't, coached a game yet for LSU, which obviously, if you're a good coach, you should win just about anywhere, but especially LSU. I mean, you got all the talent in the world there, so I don't know if LSU's actually named their starter yet. Who is it?
I don't think he has.
Yeah, he has.
Oh, see, I was thinking Brian Kelly came out and said, "Oh, well, we don't know," or I know who it's going to be, but I'm not announcing.
Well, it all happened when the that quarterback from last year, I can't think of his name. Somebody's going to have to help me with it.
Johnson?
Yeah, or not Johnson, the other one. Okay.
Yeah.
Kelly has picked his starting quarterback, but it's being kept a secret until Sunday, so he's
Right,
keeping it under wraps. But he did have a quarterback that played a good bit last year that ended up quitting football basically because he wasn't going to be named the starting quarterback.
Yeah.
So now I do think LSU's got one quarterback from Arizona State, a transfer from Arizona State, I believe is where he came from.
Jaden Daniels, yeah.
Jaden Daniels.
That's
Now,
probably
that's who I'm thinking it's going to be is Jaden Daniels
Yeah.
that he's going to go with. Jaden Daniels got a lot of experience. He's a mobile quarterback. He's up the Brian Kelly QB scenario way. Brian Kelly likes quarterbacks like that, and I think that's what he's going to choose is Daniels.
I think he'll fit in well there, and I think LSU will win. I really do.
Well, here's my pick. My pick is not for LSU because Brian Kelly's just getting to the SEC. He doesn't know how the SEC works. All right, he's come from Notre Dame. I mean, we've seen teams dominate Notre Dame from the SEC time after time. My boys in Alabama dominate them several freaking times. We are basically Brian Kelly might as well call Nick Saban his daddy, and I said that live on this show, and I'm going to say it again.
How many coaches can call Saban their daddy? Probably every.
Yeah. I mean, y'all. I mean, and I forgot, Wes. I think you brought it up. Was how many coaches have quit and left the program when Nick Saban entered? It's stupid.
That's
numbers.
just in the SEC, man.
Yeah,
like, it's crazy. Speaking of coaches, though, I mean, Brian Kelly is the first ever Notre Dame coach to leave the program for another job.
Yeah.
Like, think about that. He's the winningest coach in Notre Dame history.
Right.
I understand. Everybody says, "Oh, well, he can't win the big one."
But did you hear?
But he's getting there, freaking Notre Dame. If you can get there at Notre Dame, you should be able to get there anywhere.
Well, the thing is,
which I think is kind of what Christian's point was earlier.
But this might be a rumor, and I hope it probably isn't. Brian Kelly left Notre Dame to come to LSU because he wants to dominate the SEC, and he wants to beat Nick Saban.
Everybody does.
Everybody does. But Brian Kelly has made it a goal in life now to do it. But let me tell you something. Mike Norvell in Florida State, I'm going for the Seminoles, baby. Chop, chop, let's go. I'm going to say Florida State wins this game. I don't think Brian Kelly's ready for them yet. I think Mike Norvell's got something up his sleeve. It was a shootout last year, It's going to be another shootout this year, but this time Mike Norvell gets that dub.
You got something to say, Christian? Oh, I thought you did. Go ahead.
I was kind of thinking, obviously last year didn't go well, so LSU fans are probably not expecting to win the SEC this year. But if LSU drops this game to Florida State, week one, a rebuilding Florida State team, I would still consider them rebuilding. I just would be interested in hearing some of the LSU fans, hearing their reactions after losing a game like this, after getting a quality coach. And then it'll make you wonder, how big is the problem at LSU, you know?
Yeah. That's a great point. Guys, I'm going to go with Florida State in this one, and that's no homer, nothing there. I mean, I'm going to go with Florida State. I think when you look at them, I think one of the big factors for this football team is that Jordan Travis now understands he is the man. He is the quarterback of this football team. Now he can, during the offseason, he's built that consistency. The other players around in the locker room have found, he's our leader. He's our man. Whereas last year, Jordan Travis was trying to play damn near daddy ball with Mike Norvell and what was his name? The guy that messed his knee up at Central Florida. I can't think of what his name is now. But
you talking about Milton?
Yeah, Milton. Yeah. He was playing daddy ball with Norvell and his stepson Milton last year, basically. So now it's his team. Now he can do it. But look at last week against Duquesne. Christian talked about it. We talked about it tonight as well. Basically a preseason game. But Florida State had 3 guys rush for over 150 yards and a 4th guy rush for 50. That's nasty. That is a deadly rushing attack. And as a quarterback, we all know this. There's nothing more friendly to a quarterback than a great rushing attack. I'm going to take Florida State in this game. I actually think Florida State makes a statement Sunday against LSU. I think Florida State wins this game by 14 to 17 points. That may be a stretch to a lot of people. I don't think it is. I think Florida State's got a pretty good defense. Youth is everywhere on that field. Speed is everywhere on that field. You're starting to see the Mike Norvell imprint on this Florida State team. And I think this Florida State team could, in the next few years, be a very good program. Very good program. Well, guys, we're down to the last game of this week. Before we get to our Heritage Fence Awards, Georgia Tech and Clemson, guys. All right, let me just do it this way. Does Georgia Tech have a chance in this game? I mean, based on what we saw last year from Clemson, I have a big question mark around the quarterback position. If they can cause some havoc, could they spoil Clemson to open the season, Christian?
I don't think so. I just don't think Georgia Tech has the offense to score on Clemson's defense. I think Clemson will score enough points, but I also think DJ Uiagalelei.
Love the last name. You're exactly right, too. Go ahead.
I think he'll have a better season this year.
Man, he killed that. Perfect.
Yeah, I've heard people pronounce it for a long time, so I've had practice. But yeah, I think he'll look better this year. I think that offense will look better this year. I think, if you look at Clemson last year, they still won 10 games. I mean, obviously they can do better than they did last year, and I think Clemson has earned the right to, be respected, and I think that their defense, you can always count on them having a really good defense. And I just don't think Georgia Tech, unless they got some stud quarterback that I don't know about, I don't think they're going to be able to score enough points on Clemson. It might be a sort of a low-scoring game, maybe 31-10 or something like that. But
yeah,
I think Clemson will get the win this year. And yeah, that's another team I'm interested to see if they can put an offense on the field this year. If Clemson can if they can put an offense on the field this year, they're as dangerous as anybody in the country.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, if you think back just a few weeks ago, we had Tony Syracuse on for Last Word on Sports, and he actually picked Clemson to win the ACC.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's definite talent there for sure. Nathan, who you got, man? Georgia Tech or Clemson? Can Georgia Tech wreck the Tigers?
I think they probably can, but I'm not picking them.
Okay.
Because my pick is this. You talk about the ACC. I'm going to go ahead and say who's going to win the ACC. Miami. The Miami Hurricanes are going to be the ones to win it. They are dangerous this year, and I'm going to say that, and I speak highly for them. And I hope I hope they don't make me eat my words, but I speak highly for Miami right now. But going into the Clemson Georgia Tech game, yes, this is going to be a good matchup for both teams, both programs. Both of these teams need a good season this year. Clemson, a little iffy last year. Dabo Swinney, I'm sure, has got these guys turned around. But I will say Clemson wins this game, but doesn't win the way Clemson usually wins football games by dominating the team. It's going to be close, guys. But give me Clemson for the win, though.
I'm going to take Clemson, but I think it's going to be closer for 3 quarters. I think Georgia Tech hangs around. I think Georgia Tech finds ways to stay in the game here and there. But I think Clemson gets the win at the end of the day for sure. All right, guys, it is time. We are unveiling something new. I will get a graphic built and banners built for it. But we got to thank Heritage Fence Company, Corey McCrone, John Michael Holly, 2 guys that Nathan and I have known for a long time. Do a great job building custom fences for residential and commercial work there in the Memphis area. Reach out to them on Facebook at Heritage Fence TN. They are also the sponsor of all of our articles that we post on 4star.live. Christian and I greatly appreciate the sponsorship on the articles. But, guys, we're going to do a special for them every week. It's our Heritage Fence Offense and Defense of the Week and also Players of the Week. Christian, I'll start with you, man. Give me your Heritage Fence Offense and Defense of the Week.
Oh, there's so many good games. Are you saying who I think's going to be this year? I mean, this week?
No. For week 0.
Oh, the offense, Vandy, obviously. And you can also make an argument that their defense could win it as well, because Vandy only allowed 10 points in that game. But I'll go with Vandy's offense and the team we talked about quite a bit on the show, Florida State's defense only allowing 7 points. So, I mean, if they can put a defense on the field consistently this year, watch out for the Seminoles. But, yeah, I'll give it to Vandy and Florida State.
All right, Nathan, what about you, man?
Yeah, I'm going to give it to offense-wise, I'm going to go with North Carolina from week 0. I'm going to give North Carolina some love right now. I'm just going to say his last name. May ended up having 294 yards passing, had 5 touchdowns.
Wow.
5 guys, 5 touchdowns in that game. Yeah. But also Hampton with over 100 yards rushing with 2 touchdowns, and Downs having 78 yards with 2 touchdowns. So North Carolina, a lot of love over there for the Tar Heels. Offense looks great. Defensive-wise, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I'm going to go with Northwestern. I'm going to give Northwestern's defense some love right here. This is a hell of a defense, especially how they played Nebraska. They were down at the beginning, had a little questionable, but they pulled themselves together and ended up holding off Nebraska. So I'm going to give my defensive to Northwestern on this one.
Really? Okay. All right. Very nice. Very nice. For the offense of the week, man, this is really kind of tough, honestly, because when you look around the country, there was offensive production in a lot of different games. But I'm going to go down to the Florida Atlantic Owls, And my guy, Willie Daggum Taggart, is back down there. And, guys, they spanked Charlotte. 43-13 in a game that I felt like was going to be a little closer than it was. But it was not. The Florida Atlantic Owls spanked them to get the win starting in week 1. And, guys, on the defensive side, I'm going to go with the team that did not win the game, but I was impressed with the passion they played with. And that was Jim Mora in his debut as the UConn head coach. They lost a hard-fought game 31-20 to Utah State. But I will say this, that I feel like this UConn team is on the rise. Look out for that UConn team moving forward. Definitely look out for them.
Okay, guys.
Go ahead.
Shout out to Brett Bielema in Illinois. You know,
Yeah.
6 points allowed to Wyoming, which Wyoming is a very respectable football program. So maybe Bielema's starting to do some things at Illinois. We'll have to see this year.
Yeah, completely agree. Go ahead, Nathan.
All right, so guys, I know we're getting close to the show ending, but you know what? I gotta throw this out there because I don't want us to miss this, and it be one hell of a game come Saturday. So I got 2 games for you. I want y'all's picks for them. Okay, I'm gonna throw them at you right quick.
I was just getting ready to say, all we gotta do is just do our Heritage Fence on the fence game of the week, and then we're gonna close the show out. So Nathan, go ahead.
Let's do it. Game of the week right here. Notre Dame, Ohio State.
Oh, yeah. That's a huge game.
That's going to be huge this week. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I got Notre Dame on the upset. I think the defensive line for Notre Dame is incredible. Not to mention the head coach for Notre Dame is former Ohio State Buckeye. So this is going to be a big matchup for them. C.J. Stroud is going to be amazing in this game for Ohio State. I give him a lot of love, but he won't have the wide receivers that he had last year. So it's going to be a little bit of a difference, and you cannot put away this Notre Dame defensive line. They are incredible. So I'm going to give Notre Dame this one, guys.
I think Notre Dame
Wow.
I think they'll be able to move the ball on Ohio State's defense. I don't think Ohio State's defense is what's going to win them games this year. I think their offense. And I know they did lose a lot of receivers last year, but there's plenty of talent at Ohio State. You got C.J. Stroud, who I think can win the Heisman this year. I think they're going to be able to score as many points as they won on Notre Dame. And Freeman's kind of head coaching debut may not go according to plan, but I am excited to watch this game. 2 very storied programs. They don't really play that often if you think about it. I don't remember the last time they played each other. I'll give this game to the Buckeyes.
Okay. All right, guys. Mine is going to be a game that's going to take place down in Gainesville, Florida. What I think could be a very interesting football game. That is the Utah Utes traveling cross country to take on Billy Napier and who I think could be a very surprising Florida Gator team. I'm very excited about this football game. Utah is good, taking nothing from Utah. They, I think, will win the Pac-12 again this year. I think they'll play in the Rose Bowl again. But give me the Florida Gators to pull the upset. Yes, I said the upset. On the Utah Utes to start the season. I think Billy Napier is not quite ready for the situation. As a whole, I think Florida wins 7-8 games this year, but I think they beat Utah to start the season off hot. I do. I really do. That is going to be a great game. Guys, we got to thank Heritage Fence, man. These guys do an amazing job, commercial, residential, always doing a great job at Heritage Fence Company. Also, before we get out of here, guys, we got to one more time give a quick shout out to Bear Down Services, 15% off anything they do. Call them, text them, Snapchat them, smoke signal them, however you want to get in touch with them. Just call them and tell them 4-Star Sports Media sent you, 4SSM sent you by, and they will get you guys taken care of. But For Christian Johnston, Nathan Wilson, I am Wes Pruitt. For Razorback Zach out at the UCA game tonight, guys. Football is back. Starts tonight. 5 games, 5 days straight of football begins right now tonight. West Virginia is up 17-10 on Pitt right now as well, too. Great football game action going on all around the country.
Wait, what
You
I tell
did.
you?
Yeah, I know you
Okay.
did. You
It's a lot
did.
of games.
But for all of us guys, we love it. Football is back, and we are glad you are back watching with us. For all of us at 4 Star Sports Media, we are out.